By the way, Alberta, the rest of Canada despises you. Americans won't. Yeah. Americans will welcome you with open arms. This isn't just trolling. It's not 51st state and you're subservient. It's territory or a state, and you now have access to the world and your people can flourish.
Government, your own land, your own country. We're doing it. You can just start a country. It's great. You just get a whole bunch of people to be like, I want a country, please. And then we countrify, and we're doing it. More conservative. Not conservative enough for me. So now we have it. Lindy Lee says, so excited to announce that the first episode of Her Take drops at 11 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. In the debut episode, Jillian Michaels, Anna Kasparian, Amy Dangerfield, and I debate immigration, not to mention trans and woke insanity. This is the conservative answer to The View. So it's here, y'all. Do we dare? Do we dare take a gander?
Welcome to Her Take, where real conversation happens. We just take
Finally. It's about fucking time. How long has it been? We have been so parched, dying, thirsty in the desert for conversation. Just a crumb, 2 or 3 drips. I feel like people have been like the Fremen, just making sure they keep every little piece of conversation secret to themselves, even eating their own conversation moisture in order to stay vigilant in case they ever need that extra little bit of assistance. But now we have it. Her Take.
Step back and ask a broader question. I'm actually with Trump on this. It's one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party.
Let's talk about the mistake, though, Lindy. Let's talk about the mistake for a second, okay? He had a legitimate asylum claim.
Intersex, pansexual, true spirit.
I'm losing my fucking mind.
What? New terms, words, descriptors. How many more letters does the alphabet mafia need? That's actually a topic they're talking about. If you don't know, Two-Spirit is a broad term to encompass a variety of different Indigenous peoples who happen to be LGBTQ+. And it's just, I guess, the conversations of 4 years ago. This is basically what the right was really getting mad about like 4 years ago. But it's back, and it's in kind of like an early morning AM show. So that's the thing. Cool.
Pansexual, true spirit. What?
Pansexual? Psha, never heard of such a thing. Two-Spirit? What is that? From another nation?
The heck is a true spirit?
Give it to me in English and then dumb it down to 6th grade level. I wake up in the morning and I have no spirit.
Whoa, Anna. We got transphobic and racist zingers in there. It's about time. Honestly, we needed a conservative answer to The View, and we're here. And I'm glad we lived long enough. Might not have flying cars. You might not have actual AI. What is supposed to be AI is it's mostly just the grand theft of all of human creation, regurgitated into a strange plastic version of it. So there's that. But you do have Her Take.
So are they really marginalized?
Can I borrow? Jeez. I will be the first one to say.
Are you really marginalized? I mean, come on. If you're going to self-identify, if you're going to make up all these new terms that I've never even heard of, what am I, demisexual? What am I supposed to do? Start a fundraiser for you? Lol.
That birth control destroyed my life. The goal is to create lifelong medical patients because that is passive residual income.
Man. Hey, if you had shown this to me 4 years ago, this trailer, just again, we haven't even seen the episode. It doesn't drop until tomorrow. But if you just showed me the trailer, I would have been like, oh yeah, this looks basically like the Steven Crowder show, but it's women instead. But the same vibes, is this the women's answer to Joe Rogan kind of thing, where it's just a bunch of people hating on trans people and queers and thinking like that's a fun topic of debate? Yeah, all these new terms I gotta learn. Pansexual, what the fuck? Two-Spirit, sometimes I wake up with no spirit. Lol. Wow, this is funny. Let's continue to dehumanize these vulnerable groups that are having a real rough go of it. That's what the moment calls for, 2025, especially in America, of all places. Not like anything else is really going on there. Let's really stick it to trans people more. They're certainly deserving of it at this moment in time. Definitely not not like they're having their rights taken away before their eyes every single day. It's like, oh, you don't get health care. Why? Because of the way you were born. Bigotry is wild. We should make a show where we talk about that, though, and how silly they are, how ridiculous everything they talk about is. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. It's okay because one person on the panel or two people on the panel are gay, so that gives everyone a pass. So go as hard as you want to other groups. Yeah, the groups that you are not a part of that, again, are being marginalized generally in society. Fun stuff. Morning show. Fascist content in 2025? Wow, that's novel. Neat. How about that? Yeah, there's certainly a drought of this kind of stuff. Yes, please. 4 cis people sitting there talking about how weird trans folk are for fucking 2 hours every week. Exciting. Groundbreaking shit. Valuetainment? I didn't know that. Well, I guess we have a, what is this, the Penis Balls Dick podcast? One of their spin-offs? It's becoming a media empire now. You know, it's becoming like the new Wire. Valuetainment. Fun stuff. Do they drink bourbon and smoke cigars? I mean, who knows? We'll see.
Albertans, Canadians, and if anyone else wants to have take a sober look at yourself right now, you need to leave Canada. Canada is not what you thought it was. Canada is a Marxist hellhole. And by the way, Alberta, the rest of Canada despises you. Americans won't. Yeah. Americans will welcome you with open arms. This isn't just trolling. It's not 51st state and you're subservient. It's territory or a state, and you now have access to the world and your people can flourish.
Indigenous bands came forward and said, frankly, go fuck yourselves. And if you didn't know this, it turns out that the land itself, in terms of land title, in terms of just like who does own a country, really? Who does own the land? Well, in the case of a colonized area, that eventually a treaty was signed in order to share the land title between Indigenous folk and the Crown of England, aka the King. Yes, the title and the treaties are signed between the Crown and these Indigenous bands. So Danielle Smith and her provincial government have zero authority to claim that land. In essence, if you're talking about how it all boils down to legally. Now, of course, the separatist movement is a little confused by this concept and is now wondering why there's all these groups that are suddenly speaking out against them. Treaty 8 First Nations ain't having it either. The First Nations Treaty 8 of Alberta acknowledged the results of the 2025 federal election and extend congratulations to incoming federal government. The First Nations Treaty 8 are sovereign nations with rights enshrined in Treaty Number 8, and we expect the new leadership to work in a genuine partnership. For too long, successive governments have failed to uphold their legal and moral obligations to our inherent in treaty rights. Our First Nations continue to face systemic barriers, underfunding, and threats to our lands, water, and way of life. The new federal government must understand the reconciliation is not optional. It is a constitutional, legal, and human imperative. We remind the new government that treaty obligations are not political issues, they are sacred agreements. We expect those obligations to be respected in full. We remind all elected officials that Treaty 8 was entered into in 1899 as a solemn agreement between sovereign nations and the Crown. It was not surrendering of the land or of the rights, but a promise to share, coexist, and ensure mutual prosperity. That promise remains unfulfilled. Our ancestors entered into treaty in good faith, for as long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the rivers flow. That promise remains. It is not open to negotiation, modernization, or interpretation by any government. Treaty 8 First Nations will continue to assert our sovereignty, protect our lands, and fight for the well-being of our people. We are not passive participants in democracy. We are rights holders whose voices must be central in shaping the path forward. We look forward to engaging with the new federal government in the spirit of truth, justice, and treaty. Congratulations on your election as Prime Minister. Unfortunately, we have no time for pleasantries. We are enclosing our letter to Premier Danielle Smith for your urgent attention. As you know, Canada is founded on treaties that were sacred covenants between the Crown and our ancestors to share the lands. We are not prepared to accept any further treaty breaches and violations. We respectfully ask that you ask the province of Alberta to get in line. We look forward to working with your new government as treaty partners. So this one went directly to Mark Carney, and then to Danielle Smith was this letter. You are attempting to manufacture a national unity crisis by enabling a referendum on separatism and as a fanatical cell of individuals as the exact moment when Canadians need to unite against Donald Trump's America. The province of Alberta is on treaty lands. Please be advised that your irresponsible statements and actions are in breach of treaties number 6, 7, and 8. We demand that you immediately stand down from this conduct. Our treaties are sacred covenants and are to last forever. Alberta did not exist when our ancestors agreed to share the lands with the Crown. The province has no authority to supersede or interfere with our treaties, even indirectly by by passing the buck to a, quote, citizen referendum. If you or any Canadians are not happy living on treaty land, they are free to apply for citizenship elsewhere. Sincerely, Sheldon Sunshine of the Surgeons Lake Cree Nation and Chief Billy Joe Tucaro of the Minisku Cree First Nation. And this is such a fucking banger of a line. If you're not happy, you're free to apply for citizenship anywhere you want. Go do it. Go apply to join another country. That's on you. You don't get to take the land with you if you don't realize it. I know. And so like Alberta suddenly doing this thing where it's like, we're going to try to have a sovereignty election, but we're going to lower the bar for how many people need to vote. So if we can lower it down to just 156,000 people have to vote, we could probably get this, and we'll probably get enough people voting for it. It's like, all right, well, enjoy all the Indigenous bands in Alberta cutting off all of your supplies in 3 weeks. And I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm saying that as like, if you look at, what is going on in Indigenous Blue Sky and Indigenous Twitter and other social media, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, a lot of the supply chains of Alberta are made possible by, in a lot of cases, going through sovereign Indigenous lands. If those supply chains are cut off, then so is like everything. So yeah, you're not just going to have yourself a little vote, do whatever you want, suddenly say that you get to be a sovereign nation without acknowledging the treaty rights again, because you don't own the land. You don't get to do that. Now, Albertans, if you suddenly are disgusted at the very fact that the land on which you step on happens to be partially owned by the Crown, you should be taking this up with the King of England. You should be taking this up with the British, all right? This could be the new path forward for all of you. I know, you're a little bit confused now, and then you didn't really know what was going on, and you got real excited because you thought you could just become country. Like, lad, it's fun, it's neat. You're like, I want to be country. And then you're like, oh, I'm a country now. That's fun. So welcome to Alberta. But you can't do it. So, yeah, try that. Try going after England. Go after the monarchy. Go after the king, and then start the war. The separatist Alberta movement versus the Crown. And then, take it to Charles. Exactly. Take it up.
Letter sent to yourself and one also sent to the Prime Minister from the Chief of the Sergeant Lake Cree Nation and the Chief of the Mikisew Cree First Nation. They say that you're attempting to manufacture a national unity crisis by enabling a referendum on separatism. My question to you is, what will your government do to ensure any referendums respect and do not breach Treaties 6, 7, and 8?
Well, first, let me say that we respect all of the treaty rights that are enshrined in the Constitution under Section 35. And the Citizen Initiative Act is not new legislation, and it was never designed to, nor does it breach treaty agreements.
So that's what's called lie. She did lie. You're lying. That this is a lie right now because they put it very clearly in the letters that they wrote to you. Strongly worded letters at that, but not long ones. That's the neat thing. They knew that you wouldn't want to have to like read a bunch of shit and have to, go through citations and sources and stuff. So they were just quite clear, keep it in simple language. Here's just basically how this works. You don't have a right to do this. Do not try it. And now she's like, well, we're not violating anything. We're not breaking any laws. Come on. What's going on here? Who introduced her Sovereignty Act to protect hypothetical future overreaches by the feds, refuses to answer a question on the damage referendum would do, separatism would do with relations to First Nations because it's just hypothetical.
People to appease a vocal minority who want to separate them.
The changes that are proposed in the Elections Act, I had put in the minister's mandate letter when I first signed off on it in 2023. And it was in looking at the way in which propositions are put forward around the world, in particular California, which seems to have the most successful opportunity for citizens to engage in the process. They have anywhere from 5 to 10 propositions every year, but their measures are actually quite a bit lower than ours. It's 5% for a statutory change based on the previous.
It's another nothing answer. Essentially, it's basically just like, oh, this is all theoretical. We just want to make sure that the federal government won't infringe on our rights as Albertans, the proper stewards of the land. Asked if she would speak directly to First Nations leaders. Look, this is all the media's fault. Plus, they can start their own referendum if they want. California.
Asking you to speak directly to those First Nations leaders, there's some strong language in here calling your statements and actions irresponsible and demanding you step down from your conduct immediately. What is your response directly to them? And how would you characterize, I guess, your perception of your relationship with them when they're seeming quite frustrated?
Well, I can see that the media is trying to describe this legislation as something it's not. It's a citizen initiative change.
The media. How dare you? Shame on you, media, trying to turn this into something that it's not. Look, this is a simple sovereignty enthusiasm tracker, and we just wanted to know what exactly the separation slider character design would be upon our citizenry, as we then do a national polling mechanism that will again allow us to potentially, if need be, separate broadly, in theory, hypothetically, from the country. It's fun. It's like a video game.
That any petition can come forward. I gave some examples in the legislature yesterday. In California, which is a very left-wing jurisdiction, they have brought.
Okay, so California, because you're communist, everything she's doing is totally legal and fine. Yeah. Sorry, Indigenous sovereignty, land treaties, rights.
Forward petitions on rent control. They brought forward petitions on legalizing cannabis.
Whoa, California, slow down. Didn't know the communist revolution was out of control there.
I would just encourage people to not look at this through an ideological lens. If you've got an issue that is important to you, that you think can garner the support of your fellow citizens, get out there. Start a petition campaign once this legislation is passed. You have
Look, if we do some illegal shit that basically violates treaty rights, and we got very strongly worded letters from people who are the co-owners of the land legally under the very definition of the articles. So they're telling us to fuck off, and this is really bad and we shouldn't do this. But I mean, after we do this, just go out there and then start a petition. I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, you guys can start petitions. You want your own petition, you want your own government, your own land, your own country. We're doing it. You can just start a country. It's great. You just get a whole bunch of people to be like, I want a country, please. And then we countryfy, and we're doing it. So go ahead.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned Indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwick, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.